there, welcome in the latest edition of the SAU Women's Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Daniel Gallegos, joined alongside head women's basketball coach Julio Pacheco. And Coach, this Coaches Show is going to serve as the preview for the Great American Conference Tournament in which your team has qualified for. It's the third straight year for the program, but your first year as a part of the program. And one of the first questions I want to ask you before we really dive into that and the most recent games, you're 18-8 going into the conference tournament. You're the number 4 seed in the conference tournament going in. With this being your first year, from the moment you accepted the job to where you're at today, did you kind of foresee having this much success the first year, or has it just kind of been a process going along? Just talk us through that. Did you foresee this?
I think it was a work in progress. I think from day one that I arrived on campus, my number one job was to really develop a good relationship with the players. I was very disciplined and very dedicated to that. It's something that I spent time talking on the phone, especially because we were starting the summer break, so I knew the players would be going home and staying away from campus. So it's something that I told myself I want to really get to know them about their lives, their families, what they like to do, and since then, starting that process, I think we start building something. Okay, we might have something special here. To be honest with you, I think it's very hard to say, to project precisely where you're going to be. But as we started playing our games, and I go back to the first week of the season, that we won 4 games that week, and that kind of gave me a click. I thought, well, we got really something special here. I think we can be better than what I thought we could be, and here we are. I think it's been a memorable year, a fantastic year for our program, and especially for the players. They're so deserving for what they accomplished this year because they worked so hard. It's a little movie go through your mind, going through the preseason and weights and cardio and conditioning, all that grinding, and then it's payback time. So very glad to be here. Very, very excited.
The last week of the regular season, you were at home for both of those games. Some Oklahoma teams, Oklahoma Baptist came in, Southern Nazarene also came in. You go 1-1 on that week, but both of them were very well played games, particularly the win, Southern Nazarene, to close out the regular season. Mm-hmm. But going back to the first game of that week on Thursday against Oklahoma Baptist, a very good, talented team,
yes.
Transitioning. They would have made the conference tournament had they been eligible, but
yes.
with transitioning in, they're not eligible. Game goes to overtime, and your team had to fight and battle to get it to overtime, come up a little short there. But again, against a very good Oklahoma Baptist team. Mm-hmm. What did you kind of see out of that, knowing that it's the last week of the regular season, and maybe it is a good thing at times to maybe have that kind of loss to where you can refocus and fix some things that maybe needed some fine tuning going into the tournament?
I think that was an interesting thing, that it was our first overtime game of the whole season, and once you go into overtime for the first time, it is a little bit of like strange waters for us, and a funny fact. The game before our game, Oklahoma Baptist just had done playing a game in overtime too, and they beat, the third best team in conference, Southwest Oklahoma. So I'm pretty sure that went all over through their minds. Okay, we just been here before, let's do it again. And I was so proud of our players. They did fight our way back in the game. Couple of huge shots at the end that really took the game to overtime. But unfortunately, we have two or three main players that were sitting on the bench with 5 fouls, and that was a really important factor there. But proud of our players who came in, and I know him. I'm a privileged coach to be able to say that my kids fight hard, man. That my players, they always fight really, really hard. But you're right. It was something important for us that happened that day. Walking in the tournament here now. It's March. Crazy things happens in March, so we never know. Maybe we need to be in an overtime game now, and then we'll be ready to play that scenario since we just went through here so recently.
The preseason conference coaches poll had SAU picked 11th out of the 12 teams. Obviously not where you ended up. You're the 4 seed going into the tournament. preseason polls are just that. They're preseason polls. A lot of them are based off of what happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
You being a first-year head coach, maybe some teams didn't necessarily know what your style was going to be like and how it was going to translate with the players, and just a variety of things. How proud of you of your team this year to knowing where you guys were picked to where you've ended up going into the conference tournament?
It's just an unbelievable improvement. I do remember being here in your office, and we look at October 15, and we were picked 11th. And, we really don't care about that very much. We just came in and just continue to do our work, stay humble, keep our heads down, and just work. And, looking back now and see what a success we really had, it's just all on the players. They had a vision, they understood the urgency and how special this year could have been, and they made it. They completed the season, they accomplished the mission that we had of being a championship team. A championship team is not necessarily winning the hardware, but how you carry yourself and you carry your your program. And I think the girls, they should have the championship feeling in their hearts, because they do play like a champions. We're classy, we're organized, and we compete at a very high level. So just very blessed and very humble to be in the situation that we are right now. Hope we can continue to go on a tournament this week and be successful there. That's what we're preparing for.
Previewing that conference tournament, your first round matchup, it's the 4-5 game, the final game of the first day, so the primetime game, 8 o'clock tip-off. You're taking on Henderson State, the 5 seed in the tournament. They've won their last 3, including beating Harding 3 games ago for them. So they're a team that's on a roll coming into the tournament. You haven't won your last game and finishing out the year strong. What do you kind of foresee in that matchup? They've got a go-to scorer in Valencia Keener, who's one of the top scorers in the conference, but they can also get offense from other places. Having played them twice, how much of that do you lean on from the regular season going into the conference tournament?
Well, I think that, I always like to tell our players that when you get to a conference tournament, it's a new season. It's new life for everybody. Everybody's in the same level. Everybody's 0-0, really. You win, you continue to play, you lose, you go home. So we'll base some of our preparations for the game based on the games, how we play them. I think we play in successful ways against Henderson both times. But we're by no means we're overlooking the opponent. I know Henderson will be ready. They're well coached. They got good players. They, like you mentioned, Keener is one of the top scorers in our league, and they can really explode at any second. So taking this game with a very high alert, very high attention, and just hoping that we'll go in there, we play very well. I think our team is playing well, regardless of the overtime game that we lost. I think that was a very high level game, and that's kind of like what I focus on the team, how well we're performing, and we're playing a very high level. So we're just going there. We'll do what we do the best, which is play hard, compete hard, and then we'll see what happens.
We appreciate it very much for your time again. That's head women's basketball coach Julio Pacheco. He and his Lady Mule Riders are set to travel to Bartlesville, Oklahoma for the Great American Conference Championship Tournament. It will start for the women this Thursday. Again, the Lady Mule Riders have the final game of that first day. 8 o'clock tip against Henderson State. Lady Mule Riders will be the 4 seed. Henderson State will be the 5 seed. Be sure to check MuleRiderAthletics.com for all your pre- and post-tournament coverage. Coach, we appreciate it and best of luck.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.